Bitcoin is a digital currency which runs on a decentralized network where there is no central authority in control. The Bitcoin tokens on the network are the unit of account, and they can be sent to other Bitcoin addresses anywhere across the world and for a relatively small cost. The Bitcoin blockchain itself is also an open source ledger which stores all transactions which have ever taken place on the network. It has a known fixed supply limit and a known inflation rate. Without going into all the technical details of how this is achieved exactly and the specifics of blockchains and mining, it's basically through incentive models which are built into the network, which means that honest participation is rewarded. And this helps to make the network extremely secure. At the most basic level, Bitcoin, like everything else in the world, simply has a value because there are others that want it and are willing to pay some price for it. The fundamental reasons, though, why so many people's attention is captured by Bitcoin, outside of short term price speculation, is due to its unique properties that can exist due to the revolutionary nature of blockchains. There are several of these properties, but some of the most widely agreed upon are that it is trustless, immutable, decentralized, and a digital asset which is provably scarce, which is the first of its kind. Personally, I've found that people who have really spent the time to look into the space and understand it at least find the properties of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies quite unique. It can be debated how valuable these properties are, but there do tend to be less and less people saying that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have absolutely zero value these days. The generally agreed current narrative is that Bitcoin is a store of value and sort of a digital gold version 2. So people can look at the market cap of gold, which is about $10 trillion at the moment, and that gives a starting point in terms of comparisons. Bitcoin's current market cap for comparison is a little under 1 trillion US dollars right now. People do argue that gold has other use cases other than just as a store of value, and they are correct, but I do think that those use cases only account for a small amount of the value placed on gold, and that the majority is really due to the store of value use case. Also, Bitcoin does have several properties that gold does not, so Bitcoin's proponents argue that there is a good chance that it can and will eventually surpass gold in terms of its market cap. There are many in the space who actually see the potential of other cryptocurrency networks, such as Ethereum, as actually having far more potential to disrupt existing paradigms, and that they will overtake Bitcoin in terms of attention and market cap over time. Whilst this is certainly debatable, it should be noted that even if it's true, it doesn't actually take anything away from Bitcoin itself, and it would likely only be good for Bitcoin's price as well. Ethereum is the second largest cryptocurrency at the moment in terms of market caps. And like Bitcoin, it is also a decentralized peer to peer network, and tokens in the form of Ether can be transferred on the network. But in addition to that, one can program in rules which allow people to actually build applications on top of Ethereum, and this opens up a large number of very interesting use cases. It can, to some degree, be thought of as programmable money. The ability for programmers to write smart contracts on Ethereum is what enables this. To illustrate smart contracts, a simple example would be if two people wanted to make a bet of some sort. Let's say they're just making a bet on a sports game, for instance, but this could be anything, including bets on financial instruments. So there could be a smart contract which exists on Ethereum, which accepts some amount of value from both parties, and then lock it into the contract. And when it gets some results sent to it on who won the game from a trusted data source, it would automatically unlock the value and send the full amount to the winning party, with effectively no single intermediary required. That's just a very simplified example of a simple use case on Ethereum. DeFi stands for decentralized finance, and to sum it up very quickly, it's simply allowing for the tools of traditional finance to be made available in a decentralized ecosystem, such as on the Ethereum network, which is where the majority of DeFi currently takes place. Examples are peer-to-peer lending, derivatives, and certain types of financial insurance, all running on a decentralized network with no direct intermediary. Although at this stage it's still in its infancy, there is a growing pool of capital being used in some of these applications. NFT stands for non-fungible token, and the difference with these and something like Bitcoin is that one Bitcoin should always be equivalent to any other Bitcoin, whilst NFTs are more unique and have their own individual characteristics. The use cases popping up right now are digital collectibles, in-game items, digital art, and people are experimenting with many other use cases as well. One interesting feature that an NFT could have is that the creators can sell something directly to their followers, and there can be rules programmed into the NFT so that if it is sold onto someone else in a secondary market, some percentage can go back to the original creator, so it could effectively be a long-term form of revenue for a creator. Obviously, there's been a huge amount of hype around many of these recently, which may not be totally sustainable over the long term, and there will be bubbles and volatility. But personally, I see NFTs as having a massive potential in the long term in a variety of different areas, and I believe they'll be around in some form for the long run. So this has obviously been in the headlines recently. Obviously, Bitcoin does use energy. Now, there are many arguments out there which state that Bitcoin miners will naturally want the cheapest and most efficient forms of energy, and that in many cases they will use energy that would otherwise go to waste, which I do think is true to a degree, but it is still true that Bitcoin uses a lot of energy. What I would say is that no one seems to ever seriously question how much energy is used for other activities. For example, watching Netflix, using clothes dryers, going on international holidays, the energy used in the current banking system itself, or gold mining. So to me, the focus on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency does seem a little bit disingenuous, and it usually seems to come from people who either don't believe that Bitcoin has any value or simply don't understand it. Because if Bitcoin is this revolutionary technology and monetary network, then it would be at least worth using some amount of energy for. How much is questionable, and obviously it's good to cut down the energy use as much as possible, but I don't feel at this stage there's really an honest debate taking place. It should also be noted that Ethereum is looking to switch to a proof of stake consensus in the near future, and that will drastically reduce energy consumption for that network.